You might ask, who is this random person on the internet? She never published a book. How would she know what mistakes newbie writers make? To which I say, the way you asked is kinda rude, but also very good question. So let's find out. Hi everyone, my name is Kat and I've been working as a professional writer and editor of non-fiction for the past 5+ years. I've written pretty much anything from one-word button translations to video scripts to long-form articles. So you could say I'm pretty professional at that. But when it comes to writing fiction and having it published and any kind of content that is longer than 3,000, let alone 30,000 or 60,000 words, I'm still in the process of learning. So the following 6 mistakes that newbie writers make, in my opinion, when they draft their work, are a combination of the mistakes I've made, the mistakes I've seen other people make, and also what I'm currently learning. Mistake number 1, and in my opinion one of the biggest mistakes you can make, is to not write for the reader. This doesn't mean that you have to write your entire story to please readers, but it means to take a step back from your own writing to see if it makes sense from an outsider's perspective. Think about it this way. Your story is a message, and in order for a message to be successfully communicated, it doesn't only have to be sent out by you, the writer and the sender, but also to be received, processed and understood by a receiver, who's your reader. When you choose writing as a form of communication and as a form of sending out your message to the world, then the receiver doesn't have a chance to go up to you and to ask for clarification the way they would have in a face-to-face conversation. That means that you have to craft your message in a way that the receiver will be able to understand. It means you have to structure your writing well, it means you have to provide enough context, it means that you need clear reference for all of your pronouns, and in my opinion it also means to give up on overly complicated, fancy, beautiful language, because you are not trying to show off your vocabulary, you are trying to get a point across. An easy way to figure out if you are writing for readers is, surprise, give your work to other people to read it. Mistake number 2 that newbie writers make when drafting is not knowing when to stop. We all know the situation. It could have been cool, but then someone just took it too far. It's the writing equivalent of one of those taste-made videos that pop up on your Instagram or Facebook feed. It looks really good at first, but then it turns out to be a funfetti, red velvet, Oreo cheesecake layer trifle with chocolate syrup, marshmallows, chocolate sauce, whipped cream, sprinkles, cherries, and chocolates on top. Sorry to call out Tastemade specifically, and I wish I was exaggerating, but I did see this exact cake recipe from them the other day on my Instagram feed, so anyway, back to writing. A good example of this, even though he's not a newbie writer, is George R. Martin. He of course wrote the Song of Ice and Fire series, which was adapted into Game of Thrones. And there is a spoiler warning here now. You can skip through this time code if you don't want to be spoiled for anything. But I think if you have internet, you will already know this. George R. Martin did something that was crazy cool early on in the series, which was to kill Ned Stark. It was a really good writing, because from this moment on you knew that nobody's safe, everything and anything can happen. But then he just took it too far. He killed pretty much everyone. Which means on the one hand that we don't have many characters left to root for, and on the other hand it became kind of predictable, because at this point we already know who he really doesn't want to kill. For some reason, George R. R. Martin also decided that he has to write either 3 or 7 books, which in my opinion doesn't make any sense because you can tell that he kind of runs out of content throughout the books. Mistake number 3 that newbie writers make is trying to be realistic and showing off their research instead of making it interesting. Don't get me wrong, you definitely have to do your research. You have to make sure that you have all your facts straight, that your world is coherent in itself, but nobody really cares about overly technical details or just boring, realistic details like your character brushing their teeth or each and every single outfit that they're wearing. It's just not interesting, so just don't put it in your book. Mistake number 4 that newbie writers make is being too fixated on the first draft. Your first draft doesn't have to be and probably cannot be perfect. At the drafting stage, the only thing that's important is to get words on the page. You can edit out anything that you don't like later on, but you can't edit a blank page. Mistake number 5 that newbie writers make, in my opinion, are overly noticeable dialogue tags. I didn't go to school in an English-speaking country, but from what I see and read on the internet, there seems to be an epidemic of teachers going around who tell students it's wrong to use said repeatedly, so don't listen to them. Overly noticeable and creative dialogue tags are really distracting, so just stick to said, asked, maybe, yelled, or better yet, replace dialogue tags with action tags. Mistake number 6 is planning and never actually writing. Writing is a craft, which means the ultimate way to get better at it is to practice it. Of course, you can do your research, watch YouTube videos, read books on the craft, but ultimately you'll just have to sit down and write, because it's one thing to know the theory, but it's a completely different thing to take everything that you've learned and really apply it to your writing. So this ends today's video. I focused very much here on really drafting and just getting the words on the page, but I have a lot more to say about this topic, so stay tuned for next week's video, which is about newbie mistakes that writers make when they edit. Thank you so much for watching this video today. I would be super happy if you subscribed to my channel. You can also click the little bell icon if you want to receive notifications every time I upload. Also follow me on all of my social media. I'm Kat Sperling Books pretty much everywhere except for Twitter, where I'm K Sperling Books. I'll link everything down below in the description box. Leave me a comment about mistakes that you have made, or if you disagree with me, you can also leave me a comment. We are here to discuss, we're here to learn, so don't be shy.